This is a lecture from OpenTuition. To benefit from the lecture, you should download the free lecture notes from opentuition.com.
Okay, so let's just go through and finish off the chapter with various bits and pieces. I'd recommend you go through and read it in detail. I'd also go through and recommend that you read the study text if you've chosen tuition provider. We're just going to go through and briefly chat our way through them. Okay, so remember, we're in the world of equity finance. We've looked in the previous videos, haven't we, at raising equity finance for quoted companies. What about equity finance for unquoted companies? Well, it's a little bit more of a challenge, isn't it? Because if you're unquoted, the shares are not traded on an active market. So one way to go through and ensure that you can raise equity finance is to become quoted, okay, and therefore issue shares on a stock market, okay. However, the only issue that you've got there is that your unquoted company needs to be reasonably large, okay, to be able to gain a full listing. Now, in recent history, that obviously has been adapted in that there are other, if you like, alternative markets other than the main market. So in the UK, we have the FTSE, the Financial Times Stock Exchange, but also we have a smaller market for smaller businesses, which is the alternative investments market, or the AIM market. And that's to try and encourage businesses who aren't as large as, say, your BPs, your British Airways or International Airline Group, or businesses such as Centrica in terms of gas and electricity, to be able to go through and attract outside investment. Okay, so one way for an unquoted company to raise finance via equity is to become quoted, but the key bit that you need to be concerned of there is thinking about the size. Okay, if you do decide to stay unquoted, and you want to go through there and raise equity finance, I think it mentions it there, you can go through and do that via a rights issue, but again, just be aware, be careful. If it is unquoted, it could be that it is owned by family members, okay, and therefore you're asking your family to go through there and provide the finance, okay, which might not go through and work. So the best alternative is looking there at a private placing. So don't just assume that unquoted companies are small, okay. There are a lot of large unquoted companies that are in existence. One of the largest ones, I suppose, and it gets a little bit complicated in terms of how it's set up, but simple to think about, the Virgin Group, okay. The Virgin Group of companies, you've probably heard of Virgin, whether it's Virgin Atlantic, whether it's the Virgin Blue, Virgin Cosmetics, Virgin Gyms, is there an airline now in America, Virgin US? It's endless. Effectively, that's all owned by Richard Branson, okay. How does he raise finance via equity? You could ask his family to invest within it, because they all own shares in the business, but alternatively you could use just a private placing, okay. So going through there, approaching a large investment bank, asking them to go through there and buy the shares, and therefore raising equity finance, okay. Other bits and pieces, just at the bottom, I'm not too fussed about it. Effectively, another way of becoming listed is to do what's referred to there is as a reverse takeover. So whereby there you go through and acquire another entity, okay, and the shares that you go through there and acquire are the shares of a listed entity, okay, and therefore you go through there and then become listed. Let me just stop that there. Yeah, just that was fine, okay. No, just stop it just before I said, if that's okay, Chris. Thanks. Sorry, I just hate this chatty stuff. It's boring. I'll get back on it in a second. Bonus issues, if we go through and move on to bonus issues. A bonus issue is a way of effectively altering the capital structure of your business. You know, we've seen the journal entry, haven't we, way back in the days of, was it CO2 or BA2 as it's now currently known, whereby we credit share capital, debit share premium. So it's effectively just adjusting the reserves, okay, utilizing that fairly useless share premium account, okay, by issuing free shares. So be careful. It's not a source of finance, so doesn't raise cash, okay, because they are issued for free, but it does fall within equity, so it does form part of the equity section of the syllabus, okay. And when you go through there and issue the shares, usually a bonus issue is done in place of paying a dividend, okay. So if a business is short of cash and want to continue the shareholders' income, then we can issue the bonus shares, or if you like, a scrip issue of shares, and then the shareholders have the ability to go through then and sell those additional free shares, okay, and that will therefore bring in the cash. But by issuing the shares, what happens there is that there are now more shares in the market, and theoretically what should happen is it should reduce the market value per share. And if that's the case, it therefore makes them a little bit more marketable, doesn't it? Okay. Just note, very similar to a bonus issue is what we refer to as a stock split. Now, a bonus issue is whereby you issue free shares and you keep the same nominal value of the shares, if you like. Okay. A stock split is done whereby you have, say, 2 shares worth $100. One share worth $100, I should say. And then you go through there and take that 1 share and then give 2 shares worth $50 each. Okay, so effectively all you do is you just change the par value of those shares, okay, by issuing a stock split. Okay. Key bit, again, the share capital is unchanged. So just be aware that we just make a note in terms of the accounting. There's no direct double entry debits and credits process with regards to a stock split. We just note as a memorandum to the accounts within the bookkeeping system that we have changed the par value from X to Y. Okay, so that we know that there are more shares now in issue. Okay, there's no debit entry, there is no credit entry. Okay, effectively it is a free issue of shares. So again, it's not a source of finance, so it is similar to a bonus issue. But the key difference really is a bonus issue is usually done as regards to a substitute for paying a dividend. A stock split is done when it's perceived that the value of a share is getting too high. Okay, if the value of a share is too high, it makes it difficult for individual investors to buy that share. So some of your very large listed PLCs whose shares prices just continually grow, to make it attractive to you or I, they will do a stock split. Okay, by splitting the stock, so previously having 1 and now having 2, so a 2-for-1 stock split, means that again the market value per share will fall. Per share in total it stays the same, okay, because previously you had 1 share worth 100, 2 now worth 50. It's the same, isn't it? There's just more shares, but those shares are now cheaper, so that therefore makes them more liquid, and there are also more of them on the market, okay, and therefore that increases their marketability. So you could potentially get a question in terms of the exam. I have no idea whether this is the case or not, but trying to identify the main differences between stock splits and bonus issues, or what are the similarities. The similarities are that they don't raise any finance, okay. The difference, I suppose, between a bonus and a stock is the reasons why they are done. Okay, the bonus is effectively to go through there and replace a dividend for the shareholders so that they can then sell the extra shares. And the stock split is done to reduce the value per share, to improve the liquidity and to improve the marketability. The other key difference is within the accounting. For a bonus issue, we are issuing free shares and new shares, so therefore we will account for that as crediting share capital, debiting share premium. But with a stock split, we're just swapping 1 share for 2 shares with a smaller nominal or par value. Okay, there you go. So just be aware of those subtleties. That then brings us to the final aspect. Is it there a scrip dividend, which is effectively definition or the term given to a bonus issue when it is there replacing a dividend. Okay, you could do a bonus issue for other reasons, just to go through there and restructure your share capital and utilize share premium. But the main reason that businesses tend to use that bonus issue is for a scrip dividend. Okay, so what we go through and do there is, instead of paying the dividend, we offer the shareholder the option of taking a share instead. Okay, it means that we as a business do not have to go through there and pay cash. So therefore it preserves our business's liquidity and doesn't impact the shareholders' wealth when they are not receiving that dividend. Instead of receiving a cash dividend, they are receiving a share instead. Okay, there we go. Excellent. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it for the chapter. If you've got any questions, you know where we are. We're on the Ask the Tutor forum. Carry on asking them there, and I shall see you within the next chapter. Bye for now.